I took an AncestryDNA test about 8 years ago that changed my life. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. I'm not adopted, both my parents are alive, thankfully, and I feel like before doing that test, I had a pretty good grip on what my family tree looked like. But when I turned 30, I got this supercharged interest in learning more about my family, especially the parts that were unknown. So I started this investigation, we can call it, where I started interviewing my parents, digging up records, and a part of that was doing this AncestryDNA test. Taking that test led me to meeting dozens of family members around the world that I did not know existed and that my dad also didn't know existed. It also led me to going to Jamaica last summer for a family reunion with my new relatives, where I got to see my ancestral land. I got to see the graves of my ancestors. It was truly something special. I actually made a video about it, which I will link to. On this video recently, I was reminded that I didn't actually share my AncestryDNA results. I got so excited by everything that came out of it that I didn't share the results, so I'm gonna do that in this video. If you're new around here, I'm Latoya and welcome. On this channel, I talk about travel, locks, and living your best life. So if you're interested in any of those things, which I think you are, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. When I did the ancestry test, the main interest I had initially was to learn what regions my ancestors came from. My parents immigrated from Jamaica to Canada in the 70s and 80s. But like so many of us in the diaspora, I wanted to know, where did their grandparents come from? Where in Africa did they come from? That information is not readily available. So a lot of that history is lost. And that is what I was trying to fill in with doing this ancestry test. I didn't even think about the connections that I was going to be making. I'm not surprised by my results. My ancestors came to Jamaica as a part of the transatlantic slave trade, and we know which countries the Europeans were capturing Africans from. About 2 million West Africans were brought to Jamaica. My biggest surprise with the AncestryDNA results was that they changed pretty dramatically about 2 years ago. I remember getting an email saying that, like, your results have been updated, come have a look. And when I logged in, my results definitely had been updated. The regions and the countries were about the same, but the percentages in some cases were pretty dramatically different. So the more data they have, the more specific and more accurate they can get with your results. So once I read that, it made sense. Let's get into the results, my results. It says that my DNA looks like most DNA from these 7 world regions. It looks like Nigeria is the dominant region, but you'll see as I click in, that's not necessarily the case. So let's start. Nigeria, they say that my region estimate is 41%, but it can range from 26 to 47%. I'm not surprised by this, just based on the history that I've talked about. So Nigeria, 41%, Ivory Coast and Ghana, they're saying that my region estimate is 31%, but it can range from 20 to 55%. So that's why I say, I don't know if I'm Nigeria dominant or Ivory Coast / Ghana dominant, but these 2 regions basically make up the majority of my ancestral roots. Benin and Togo, 10%. Although they're saying the range can be anywhere from 0 to 25%. Mali is 8%. The range is 0 to 20%. Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples, 6%. Germanic Europe, 2%. They're saying the range can be anywhere from 0 to 5%. And then Ireland, 2%, and the range is 0 to 3%. I initially didn't know how Germany and Ireland got on here, but after connecting with my family, I did find out that my great grandmother was half Irish, so that likely explains this European connection here. So these are my results. I'm West African. My roots are West African, and that feels right. So I am still plotting my third trip to Africa to visit the West. I've been to the North, Morocco, and when I actually got these ancestry results, I was in South Africa. Was doing a big like 6-week trip where I went to South Africa, Zimbabwe, Botswana. So I am looking forward to going back and visiting the West with the knowledge that I have now. If you want to see more about that trip to Jamaica where I got to see my ancestral land, I will link to that. And if you've done your ancestry test, I would love to know what your results are. Share them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next video.